Our Father in heaven, hallowed be thy name. All praise and glory be to you, Lord. As we gather here again today to partake in the freedoms we have of self-government, I pray, Lord, that you will give our commissioners wisdom and prudence in the decisions they have to make today. I would pray that all of those that come here today with presentations would do so in an honorable and respectful manner. Lord, let us keep in mind that you created this universe, this world, and that you're still very much in charge of it. We thank you, Lord, for the blessings you bestow on us, the blessings of our nation, of our state, and of our community. I offer this prayer to you today in the name of your Son and our Savior, the Lord Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Tina, administrative business.
Okay. We have the minutes of February 19th and the minutes of February 20.
Okay, all had a chance to review those minutes. I'll make a motion to accept the February 19th minutes as written.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And February 20th.
I'll make a motion to approve February 20th minutes as written.
I'll second that. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
There's a signature on each side of that. Okay. Then we have change orders. Thank you.
Were those in the pack on in the packet?
No, they weren't in the packet.
Where were they then?
They were in the folder.
Oh, they're in your folder. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought you were asking if they were in your,
Packet.
yeah. Okay. You have one salary sheet.
Okay, Sheriff's Department, Aaron Christner from 1308 to 1702, promoted to deputy sheriff, 6 months, raise on 1 year raise.
Okay, I will need an executive session a little bit later for personnel. I've got a medical leave request, and then you still have 3 departments evaluations to review. So if you have time to do that today, that'd be great. I did provide some information, well, I have a couple questions for you today. And I did put that in a memo for you. The first one is just a suggestion about the video process for the meetings. The public really seems to enjoy having the videos accessible, and so I would just like to make a suggestion that if you continue to do the video, that be done as an official capacity through the county, either still utilizing volunteers, but if we want to. But the problem that we come to sometimes is the volunteer doesn't want to have to stay all day, and sometimes things happen after executive sessions, or we are missing some of the ends of the meetings, and then some of the other meetings don't get videoed at all. And so if it's a service that you want to provide, I'm just suggesting that maybe we take some official actions to provide that through the county, and then also we can link that on our website too. Still do it similarly to how it's being done. But.
And how would you do it? Would you hire somebody? I know you said maybe with volunteers, but.
Well, no, I mean, if Yvonne still wants to do it, if she has to leave, then, yeah, okay.
35 miles.
Yeah, I just think that having a staff person do it would be great, and not necessarily hiring somebody, but just assigning someone to do that. So,
Well, like you
and
said-
we'd either need to purchase camera, or if you want to let us use this, that's fine. So.
I know the public has, expressed thanks for having it available, and I guess, it would be nice where it could be part of the website too, rather than going to the YouTube, whatever it is.
Yeah, they could still access it either way, but if it's officially done through the county, and then, I think I would feel very comfortable linking that on our county website as well. So, and it would save some time for some of our volunteer folks that are doing it. So it's just a suggestion. Okay.
Any thoughts or any?
Ever have a cost estimate for camera?
No.
And you probably would need to get a little better speaker system. Sometimes the volume is, what'd you say? I was gonna buy a better speaker. I'm sorry?
Okay.
Yeah, the tripod is hers. The tripod is hers, yes.
Okay.
But nonetheless, yeah, the speaker system that we have there, I do know sometimes when I tune in, the volume is not very good, so we would have to get a better microphone, better quality. And I got what I thought was the best quality, I got 2 of them. But still, there is problems sometimes in the volume, not always.
Would a permanently mounted camera be any better? I don't know.
Well, it probably would, and then you could use a remote. And that has a remote. It's just that I didn't want to fool with the responsibility
Right.
while I was in the meeting. And Yvonne has always been so generous as to come and do it, so. And she's very knowledgeable with it, so.
I mean, I don't have any problem if a volunteer Yvonne or whoever would want to operate it. I think it'd be appropriate to bring it under the umbrella of the county and have it attached to the website.
And have you ever got that? I know at one point in time we were approached by a television program that wanted to program it that way. Have you ever got prices on that?
No.
It would be interesting at least to know the price. Because some people don't have internet that would watch TV. Because I have heard
Well,
that.
that they may
again.
not have cable either.
Well, now, those are really far back people, but most everybody has TV of some nature. Maybe a few don't. Do you have TV?
Cable TV, but you get that.
Yeah, not everybody has cable TV, because
Oh.
that's where that would play. It doesn't play
Okay.
on your regular stations.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fewer and fewer people have cable TV.
Yeah, I say less probably have cable nowadays than they have the internet, but, I mean, I can get, cost estimates on
Well-
equipment if you'd like, or on the other option, but I think it's important that if the service is provided and the public gets used to it, that we're getting complete
I haven't heard
information.
very many complaints about quality quality of it, so
No.
I don't know that
So
that's
we could
great
even go with
either.
something similar to the setup that you have here.
The only problem that I've heard is the sound.
Yeah,
That's-
the sound. And I don't know why that sound is. Like I said, I bought 2 mics. I have both of them. So my next one, they do have a great big disc that you would sit on the table. But then there would be a cord. But I have no problem. I have no problem whatsoever enhancing the service because my whole point from the start was transparency.
Right, and if you are doing it to be transparent and the public is looking at it, it doesn't seem very transparent if we have parts of it missing. Sometimes it's perceived as that we're being secretive, and that's not really the case. It's just the, someone may have an appointment, or
Yeah, and of course, most people didn't know either that, well, I started it with my Facebook, and so it was something that I just did there, so, but no, I think it would be good to go ahead and expand it.
Has anybody look forward, I mean, I've talked to Tina, but look forward to when 5 commissioners are here, that gonna spread out just a little bit more, and, I don't know whether,
Get a bigger camera.
Have to have a
Well-
wider angle.
yeah, but I'm talking about just space and stuff like that for when people come and stuff like that.
I like the idea of having it mounted up in a corner or in the center, because I know some of the other commissioners in other areas do that. They have theirs mounted on the wall, and therefore they do run it by remote, and in that regard, most anybody can do it. I never approached a commission about allowing to mount it.
I guess we could get
I
some
didn't
costs on it.
think anybody would even be receptive to it at the time, but as it grows, it is growing. It really is. The hits are growing a lot, so, but,
Depends on what subjects we have to talk about.
well, it depends what people are interested in, yes.
Right.
So,
Well, at this point, I guess I'd go ahead and entertain formal action to bring it under the county's umbrella then, and make a motion to do so.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made to bring the video under the county's umbrella, and seconded. All those in favor? Aye.
aye. And so do you know when you would try to make that effective?
I think we just need to figure out the equipment, and, I mean, if you want to let us use the camera you already have, then
No, I have no problem doing that,
in the time being, then we can,
yes.
I might need a little training.
It's easy.
Okay, then we could potentially maybe start that on payday.
Okay.
Okay. The other thing that I had for your consideration is on our health insurance. You had agreed to let corporate plan management do a proposal for self-funding because they were doing it for different companies within the county. Also, I have been working with Sally Tatro. I think, Diane, you know who she is, but she's with a benefits company out of Wichita. And she's very knowledgeable, and she used to actually work for Blue Cross for many years. But anyway, she is looking at we did get our renewal. She's looking at that. She's looking at what the corporate plan management folks have provided. She's also looking at other companies and then other self-funding options, potentially. So, anyway, that being said, going back to corporate plan management and what they are asking for, they have provided a preliminary proposal, which Sally is going to review, and then it'll come to the board. But what they want now for those, they want all 100 and however many, 113, I think, employees, full-time employees, to fill out a medical questionnaire. And so I wanted to get your feedback on that. They want it done online, which would mean that I would have to bring all the employees in to do that. And then Sally is basically, I gave you a copy of her email. She is saying that she does not recommend completing or providing that information at this time. That they should be able to get firm rates based on our group utilization reports and other sources. So I just wanted to ask you what you would like to do.
I would agree with Sally. She is very knowledgeable, so if that's what she recommends, it doesn't sound kosher to me anyway.
I'd agree.
Okay. Okay, so I will decline on providing the individual medical questionnaires and then see what they can do rate-wise without that. Okay, thank you. All right, that's all I have.
Okay, Jesse? Morning.
Morning,
Okay, first thing is area field bids.
Somebody got it before, and somebody got it after the price increase.
I'm thinking.
Wow.
I don't know, it appears that, Epps has a low bid on all three areas. So I'd entertain a motion to
I'd
accept.
make that motion to accept the bid from Epps for all three. Area 1, 2, and 3.
For a total amount of $87.65.
Yes.
I'll second that. All those in favor?
Aye.
I know gas went up in Peabody, but the difference here we're looking at is $8,765 versus $13,855, so it's quite a difference.
Transport.
Transport is.
Okay, on the transport bids, we have two bids again. Here's the Epps is also low, or is that $13,779?
I mean, that's
I
pretty
think
good, right?
it's 13.9.
$13,979?
You want me to go add them up, so.
$13,999?
Yeah, that'd be nice
I'll
to
just
know.
How do you know for sure?
I think it's 13.979. Okay, it's 13.999.80.
It's $13,999.80 is the low bid from Epps. I'll make a motion to approve that.
Second.
Second by Diane, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, that's really all I have. Harshman's asked for, if they could have a little bit of time to speak with you three. I think they had some questions for you. We can get going with that unless you three have anything else.
I do have a question for you, Jesse, if I may. And that's on that crushed cement. And I know, I have made some phone calls on that crushed cement for the project that you're suggesting, or to have it on hand for projects, I should say. And I had called an engineer. I also called Norm Bowers on it. And then I was informed that Harvey County did that. Harvey County a couple years back, and I guess it was a big news deal. I missed it, but anyway, I did call Harvey County. I did speak to Jim Myers, who is the superintendent of the road bridge down there, and he informed me that several years back that Harvey County had a pile of crushed cement, and they decided to use it as their road base. And he said it looked good, and they had all the material on hand and stuff, so they did it. And so he said it was a nightmare. He said it was the worst thing they ever done. They will never do it again. The material does come to the surface, and he said they replaced more tires than they ever saved by doing that. And he said that it would be good to use maybe for some riprap or bridge project and stuff, but not on the road. And when I talked to the other engineer, just an independent engineer that I had called, he said the same thing. He said the only thing is if you buy it for $4 a ton, then you can do something with it, and it'd be a savings. It might be abused, but he said, don't put it on road. He said, you'll be sorry for that. And I think you did get a copy of Norm Bauer's email that he sent you because, okay, and he pretty much says the very same thing. you know, that we're looking for trouble down the road, that stuff is gonna come up and we're gonna be, so I'm just wondering, and at $8 a ton, we're so close to paying just for rock. I mean, to add a couple more dollars and just get a decent rock and not even fool with all this storage, because until we pay somebody the prices that that we have been offered, we're gonna lose our shirt, in my opinion, just based on the numbers and pushing it in from what I'm hearing. And I'm just wondering, for the dollars that they're asking for that and all the hassle involved and then paying somebody to store it, it just doesn't sound to me like a good economical decision to make. It's just, I'm throwing that out there just so people know what I've learned. Okay.
I've sent out a few emails about this whole iron and dowel bars and this concrete, so I haven't got any replies back yet. But yeah, that's obviously most metal objects seem to surface up, so if there is a lot, so that's why I've sent out the questions after this Norm Bowers report that he sent. So kind of trying to get some answers. I'm still waiting on answers from KDOT and Emory as well on the concrete pile as well. So.
Do you remember ever doing it like on 150th up north a couple of years back?
Doing what?
Putting some of this type of material on the road. Somebody told me that we did it on, I thought they said 150th, but I did not follow up on that. I didn't have time.
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay,
I've
okay.
been here 12 years. I don't know.
And I didn't get all the particulars, and I don't know if it, but anyway. Okay.
And that's, right here, Norm said that it usually sets up fairly hard, so can be used for parking areas, equipment pads, stabilizing mud holes, and maybe full depth patches on asphalt roads. And that's kind of why I've been building, those have been the purposes of why I've been building the concrete pile as well for ourselves. Right now it'd be ideal with like a transfer station. You guys have a project going, we could have had some material crushed, and there could have been a pad there as well. That's what a lot of contractors are using for pads. So, that's why I'm building that up. Maybe here in the future we can have crushed concrete sitting at hand for patch jobs during the summers, and even pads with any project the county may have. So that's been my vision with the stuff. This other deal with Emory and KDOT, it just came up, and I brought it to you three. So.
But the only person, I haven't heard of it being used. We've seen Hillsborough sat there with it, and they haven't done nothing with it yet, have they?
Now they put it in some alleys, but you're taking risks of metal,
Yeah.
So far they've laid out quite a bit, and even down on my alley, and we haven't ran into any metal yet, but.
So even with the magnets and things that they use, there's still a certain percent of metal that gets through evidently.
I'm sure there is. Those magnets, they're not gonna catch everything, I don't think. I know some companies that crush have only one magnet. Some of them have two magnets. So the company that did Hillsborough, they have two magnets on their crusher, which they seem to think it helps a lot. And like I said, I have it in my alley, and we haven't ran across any metal yet, but I'm sure there is some in that pile they have.
Yeah, we don't want to get into the same scenario 20 years ago when the county tried to use railroad.
Yeah.
That was a disaster. So.
I just asked, check it a little bit, get some more information on it maybe.
Yeah, I'm trying to get some answers at least.
Maybe we can all get some, find out if there's anybody else out there having some problems with it too, so we can take some comparisons, because don't want to try something that's gonna bring more tire complaints. Got enough already.
And when somebody already shares an experience with me that they've had, whether it's good or bad, I like to take that experience seriously.
Okay. Warren, you want to come up?
Frank Rockers is going to speak on our behalf.
Okay, Frank.
To answer technical questions.
And I brought some information for you. I know at one point in time you were wondering where the Waverly Quarry was at, so
Yeah.
I brought a map showing basically where it is in comparison to Florence and to Emporia. It's on K-31, just north of Waverly. It's actually in Osage County.
So is that close, so to the Coffee County line, or not even close? I mean, I just by the
It's
map.
just a few miles north of the Coffee County
Okay,
line.
okay.
It's north of I-35. It
Okay.
sits right at the intersection of I-35 and K-31. Is where it's at. So, and then I brought also some test reports with PIs and the qualities on the material that you've been getting from our Waverly quarry. Here's one for the 1-inch road rock, and then here's also for the 1 1/4 road rock on those. And so,
How far away is the Waverly quarry from Marion? Is it like 80 miles one way? Is that a fair guess?
Pretty
Yeah.
close.
And just for my information, when we buy from the Waverly, did I hear you say that you guys bring it to your Florence quarry and we pick it up there?
Yeah.
Okay. So then I imagine that whatever the fee for trucking and stuff is built into that price, right?
It is. I think $15.89.
It's the total price with the trucking?
Loaded
Okay.
in your truck.
Okay, okay.
and then I know that you had made a request about more testing on the rock.
Mhm,
And so you were talking about upgrading quality information.
mhm.
So the concern that I have is that KDOT will do an official quality once a year.
Mhm.
So if we take another quality to submit it, we're gonna have to have somebody's approval or something from KDOT that they would agree to test it. In the meantime, because like I said, they've already taken the qualities for this year. And I think that's probably with all the locations, that's not just with our location. And so if you want new qualities, that means that it's either gonna have to go to a private lab, which is gonna have to be paid for, rather than KDOT.
Findings.
And I don't know that KDOT's gonna wanna do a lot of qualities for the counties. You've got 105 counties. I don't know that they're gonna wanna take on that additional load of doing qualities for all these counties.
Can some of the engineering firms do that, or do they not? I mean, I'm just asking.
A private lab can do the testing,
Or
but it's
do
gonna
do
cost
that,
money
okay,
to do it.
Okay, okay. So this one was done then in August of 2017,
Correct.
okay? So now
That's when
the-
we first moved
okay,
in and first started making material that's still there.
Okay,
And so, anyway, that's the quality, and that, you'll notice that's on the road rock itself. And
Okay.
that's something that I want to point out, which I tried to the last time, is that you have to be careful on the qualities, that you're actually looking at the quality on the material and not on a washed asphalt product.
mhm. And this doesn't have the thaw freeze test in it?
Yes,
I
it
don't see
does.
it, does it? I'm missing
Yep.
it.
It certainly
Should be up
does.
here, right, in this area somewhere?
No, no ma'am, it's
Down, there's the,
right there.
the plastics. Oh, it's over here, okay, I'm sorry, yes. Okay,
They're in the same place on all those KDOT quality reports. And the wear test is on there as well.
let's see that, okay.
And so, like I said, the front page is just the gradations and the PIs.
And this is the ledge where we normally buy ours from?
This is the material that you're getting hauled from the Waverly Quarry to the Florence Quarry, and then you're getting from there.
Okay. That's good, I'm glad to see that.
This is on the Waverly Rock thing.
Correct.
And so the one down at Florence hasn't been tested within the year, or has it?
It's already been tested for this year,
Oh, okay.
so
Well, I
unless,
have that, I have that, I think. I think I have that
Yeah.
result. Okay.
but there's also, again, when we take qualities at the location, there's a process through which the crushing is done.
Mhm.
Most of the time, there's an impact primary, and we can either scalp before the primary or scalp after the primary, so it makes a difference on the quality, whether it's scalped before the primary or not. Also makes a difference on whether or not the quality of the material is the scalpings itself, or whether those are thrown away. At Florence, we usually throw all that away, rather than use it for the products to sell. And as it goes through the processing, it comes out of the impact primary, goes to the first screen. We make some products off of there depending upon what the quality requirements are. Then the oversize goes through a secondary crusher, and then the products that are made after that also have different quality requirements. And so Some products are made after the secondary crusher. And in some situations, we actually have tertiary crushers, which would be the third crusher. And again, usually that's the concrete rock. That would be where we will have the washed rock, those qualities. But the quality changes from the primary to after the secondary to after the tertiary normally. That's not 100% of the time, but the majority of the time, that's what happens. The quality improves the farther down the line you go with the product and crushing it. And so that's why, again, I want to point out that those are actually on the products that we're supplying, not on the end of the line where they're making asphalt rock or concrete rock.
Okay.
So you can't use that quality to cover road rock that's produced off the primary.
And I see that
So just
you're,
when you look at the website, to look at the different qualities, you gotta make sure what it's actually on what product and where in the process it's made, and whether or not that's where the product that you're buying is coming from.
well, I like your number 200, those numbers are pretty nice. I mean,
And that, to me, is about what road rock should be. In my
Yeah.
opinion, 8 to 10% on the minus 200 is usually what I think of road rock. When you start getting into where it would be 12 to 17, that's more of a base rock, that's more like an 83, where you have more fines in it. And each product has its own use. I mean, I think a lot of times for road rock, especially if it's a situation where there is some dirt and stuff, I think you need less fines going in to help pack in. You got a lot of fines and you're putting it on dirt, it's not gonna hold up, it's gonna disappear in there. So I think at certain times you need a coarse, cleaner product, and sometimes you need more of a base rock product. It depends on what the situation is for the road and what you're addressing.
And I agree with what you're saying. And I did not have anything on this particular quarry, and those numbers do supersede KDOT standards and stuff, so, I mean, I'm happy with those numbers. And I do realize that it's not just the rock, it's the process that we use, so I agree with what you said the last time you were here. So we kind of have like lots of things to address, but I appreciate you bringing this in, and this is good.
So, again, it goes back to my question is, well, what do we want to do about the qualities? Because like I said, it's not only going to be me as a producer, but the other producers who don't have qualities and don't have qualities on the specific product that you're looking at.
I'm on them too, to get the same thing updates if they can, and when they're, I have them, but I don't know what their most current is, and then, like I was telling Mr. Harshman out in the hallway, I haven't been too active on this the last couple of weeks, because it's been too cold.
Right, and
So, but-
same thing from our end, we haven't tried to do a whole lot because
Yeah.
I know Jesse's been busy with all the things that he has to take care of. But I just wanted to come and make for sure, you know, we're trying to do whatever we can to help.
No, and I
And
appreciate
do whatever
that.
you've asked for.
Yeah.
And so that's why, you know,
And I assure you,
we're not
whatever-
putting anything off, we're just, we're
Yeah.
basically waiting on the county to come up with your gradation, whatever you actually want.
Our standard, yes.
And then whenever you wanna, like I say, as soon as we can figure out how we're gonna do quality, then we can get that taken.
And I think that's something we need to get on and get established, and all quarries have to be, it has to be consistent, to the same to everybody, whatever. I don't know if Jesse done any work on this at all.
I'm trying to, yes.
Okay, so he's.
I'm working at it.
Okay. So, but I appreciate, I do see that you're really trying to do it, and I appreciate that.
Okay, and that's basically all I had for today, was just to do that. I mean,
That's great.
I don't know if you've given up on the idea of trying to take rock to numerous locations around the quarry or the county, or rather, excuse me.
Well, yeah, I had a question about that. You know, you said that all that rock from Waverly is backhauled.
Yes.
And, you know, if those guys, some of those guys are going on through the county, going west or something like that, somehow we could coordinate them spreading it for us. You know, that would take some coordination, you know, between the county and you guys, to see if those guys are available, if they're just going through the county rather than stockpiling it. You know, if they don't have to go too many miles, you know, maybe it's too big of a logistics concern, I don't know.
I'll have to talk to some of those trucking companies, whoever's bringing that in, Some of them are just looking for a stockpiling
Right.
area, you know, so I'll call that company that's hauling into Harshman's and see what they think about if I find them a location
Yeah.
on their travels,
Yeah,
you know, nearby their travels, to see if that'll help.
But now that won't reduce the price at all because,
No.
yeah, because you're already getting at a back
Right.
all rate, right?
no,
That's correct. I think it could significantly increase the price if they have to travel on your roads and.
well, if they have to
some
go
of
very
these-
far, I'm just thinking
Right.
if, you know, if we've got some locations that are close.
That-
And some of these end-up trailers will not spread. It didn't say.
Well, yeah, it'd take the right kind of trailer also.
Yeah, it'd take the right road conditions and make sure there's no tree limbs, power lines. There's a lot of
Yeah.
things going
Yeah, I
into
know
it
there's a
to
lot
take
of
care of.
logistics involved with that, I know.
Most of them like to be parked when they dock because that bed is so tall up in the air.
Yeah,
They're
that's
easy
right.
to tip over.
And so I will also ask for your expertise on this. I've been, since we had discussed that about piling it at different locations, and of course, we don't have a lot of locations. I learned, we don't have hardly any locations. So somebody brought it to my attention that maybe we're actually chasing our own tail by doing that because you load it, you unload it, then we gotta make sure you have tractors and all that stuff there, and so actually we're probably creating a little bit more of a monster than we are saving by doing that. And it might be handy at one point in time, if the rock is here and you're working on this road, it's handy. But then when that's done, and you're working on this road, now you gotta travel pretty far back and forth. I mean, just all kinds of scenarios were brought to my attention that maybe not stockpiling a lot is wise. Would you consult with, would you agree with that?
I mean, it's gonna cost you additional, if you dump it on the ground, it has to be picked back up, reloaded, then it's
Okay.
gonna cost you
That's
additional
what I
money.
was told.
So
Okay.
it's not gonna be the price that you're getting it for
Okay,
at that point.
thank
It'll
you.
be
Yeah.
additional cost. Or if you come to the quarry to get it, it's,
Once and done.
yeah,
Okay.
for the price that you're paying for it, and then you're getting it loaded there.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Ken?
I don't know. We say that, but yet, if this truck was coming to Florence, and let's say just to Peabody somewhere, or Marion, either one of the places, some sort of 8 miles, 10 miles, that would be an extra for them to travel. But yet, our truck's traveling 8 or 10 miles when we're getting it. Of course, you are getting it loaded at that price, but I'm just saying that extra 8 or 10 miles, and if they're working, if he has projects in certain areas somewhere, time is of the essence, and
But time is also money. Time is money. And then you have to take your labor and your fuel costs, and that's gonna oversee what you're paying for the direct haul.
but when we take our trucks and go those extra 10, go set an extra, it's two times for that truck, so there's extra 30 minutes, if not 40, maybe more, so
I guess we have to really push a pencil to
you
it.
really do. I think,
But I
I
agree
see
with
what,
what
it looks
you're
both,
saying.
good both ways, but yet if, for those trucks to come and put us a stockpile, and if we have a project, I don't know what Jesse's got, but, you know, that's in certain areas,
That's just it, if we have a project going on that's not too far off, and you got the high loader and everything there.
yeah, you know.
Now, that's kind of a different scenario, though. If you already have the project and
Projects,
you
yeah,
already
right,
know where you're gonna
right.
work.
Yeah,
I mean, that's
Yeah.
different.
yeah.
If you have need for rock, say at Peabody, it's possible we can get it hauled to Peabody because that truck that delivers at Florence could be going on to Wichita.
Right.
Could be the same price. And your point is very good. You can probably load that rock in the truck for 50 cents per ton. You can't haul it 3 miles for 50 cents per ton.
Yeah, just,
So if you have that rock close to location, time is money. You're getting many more revolutions with that truck
Yeah.
delivering rock. Makes it much more efficient.
Same scenario would be on 56, if they were going that way.
yeah, I
Yes.
mean, it's just a possibility that I think we need to weigh out with and work with them, and Jesse,
I'd like,
see what.
yeah, I'd like to see that figure, because 50 cents is pretty good, but I don't know how that would work.
Well, it depends on how many ton you load per day.
Okay.
But it doesn't
Okay.
cost very much to load it in the truck.
You say
If
50
you
cents a
have-
ton.
Yes.
Okay.
And you can't haul it very far for 50 cents a ton.
It would make a difference whether you're gonna have a loader man sit there all day to load the trucks,
Right.
or if the truck driver's gonna have to get out and load themselves, some of the counties do.
Yeah.
And have to make sure that they're capable.
Yeah,
Yep.
it would be on case-by-case scenario, sure.
Complicated.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank
Done,
you.
Jesse?
That's all I have.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
And then at some point in time, we still need
Oh, yes,
to get an
absolutely.
answer to the question on the quality is what we're gonna do.
Absolutely, thank you.
All right.
You bet.
Is Mr. Taylor here? Good morning. Go ahead, Mr. Taylor.
Thank you, sir. I am here today, and I'll pass this out, to solicit the support of the county commissioners and having a treatment facility to address it. This is Commissioner Novak and I spoke last week, and I got a call that said that for me to come to the meeting today, so I printed off what I had sent out, and basically it's just asking for the commissioners to write a letter in support of the treatment center being here in Marion County. We're not asking for anything else, and the letter we'll be able to use it, as you see, it's sent to Eric Van Allen. He's the Director of Beacon Health Options, the MCO for the state of Kansas, for us to solicit to ask for funding for those people who fall below the 200% poverty level in the state. And so the letter just addresses those 5 areas, and whatever we're asking is whatever y'all think is best, whatever y'all would like to do. You could write individual letters or a collective letter together where all the commissioners sign in it. And I wanted something from the elected leaders of the county to send with the packet. Judge Powers did write a letter. I do have his now, and I got one from Gary County, the court services, the director there, and community services. There, everybody has supported, and I thought it would be probably inappropriate to go forward without some support from the elected leaders of Marion County. So that's why I'm here today. So, Madam Commissioner.
Certainly a desired area that we need to address, and we want to support that in whatever we can. So yes, I think we could certainly draft a letter in support signed by all the commission in support of that.
Yes, sir.
To support your endeavor going forward.
Yes, sir.
Now, am I correct that time is important?
Time is important. I would like to get it, that at the end of March, they're going to start looking at all the allocations of where funding will go for for July 1 forward. So if I could get it by next week, that would be great. I can put that with the others and then forward it as soon as possible. And I certainly understand just from outside, y'all have a lot of major issues that y'all are dealing with, but if I could get that letter, that would be great.
Do you have are you able to provide a copy of the letters from the other areas?
Yeah, coming from letter that Judge Powers
Yeah,
wrote,
and then from Gary.
And from Gary County, I don't think it'll be a problem. Yes, I'll get your email and I'll scan all of them and then send them to you.
That'd be great.
I don't think anybody would be upset about showing the letter that they wrote.
Yep.
The one from Gary County, from Court Services, from Judge Powers, and from Community Corrections. So I will get those to you today. I'll be traveling a lot today, so sometime late this afternoon or certainly by first thing tomorrow morning you'll have it.
That'd be great. That might be a little bit of assistance in
In
wanting to
drafting that
draft.
letter,
Yeah,
yeah.
next one.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah,
yes,
give you some
yes,
guidance there, yeah.
Yeah,
Yes,
we
sir.
certainly want to support you in whatever way we can.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, and I won't take much of your time today. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you for bringing this forward
Thank
to
you.
us.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
Diane,
you for
you spoke with him?
I did.
You'd like to make a motion to
I
get
will.
this?
I will go ahead and make a motion to have the clerk make up a letter of support for the Marion County Commission to support the endeavors of the Restoration Center
Yes, ma'am.
in Marion County.
Yes, ma'am.
Second.
Second by,
Okay. Motion's been made, seconded, all those in favor?
aye.
Thank you all for your time.
Yep, thank you.
Okay. Commission discussion on the engineering job description and advertising update. I think you all had a chance to review the job description. So, any input on that? The only question I had is when we were discussing that, I remember us talking, I mean, in the job description, we're asking for 5-year minimum experience. I know we were talking about a 3-year, but preferably a 5-year. I don't know that I'm totally against the mandatory 5-year. I just don't want to limit us on applicants.
I think we already say 3 years. Supervisory experience required, preferably at least 3 years in a related position.
I think you had asked for at least 5 years in engineering and 3 years in supervision. But if you want to change that, that's fine. Or if
No,
I have
don't
that
know I'm
incorrect.
against it. I was just asking the question.
And some of the things I did combine together to try to get everything in here. So,
I have several things that I wanted to bring up that I made corrections on or thought we might want to rethink a little bit on.
so on your point, Kent, on the education experience, it does say at least 5 years experience as civil engineer with experience in design and construction of roads, bridges, culverts, and appurtenances preferred. So it's saying it's 5 years preferred.
Okay.
And then supervisory experience is required, preferably at least 3 years in related position.
So in that same sentence, we have a bachelor's degree preferred. Would we then be eliminating somebody that has a master's? I mean, can that go in reverse? Because if they look at this and they say, oh, they want to.
Yeah, we
A
can take that out.
bachelor's.
That came directly from one of the job descriptions that you were having me use, so.
I kind of think we should take that out. Or at least reword it to minimum of bachelor's degree or something, rather than just eliminating.
Well, if there's a perception that
Do we need to?
having a secondary degree like that would eliminate them, maybe.
Well, wouldn't it be enough, do you think, to just say degree in civil engineering or related field required? And not say it has to be a bachelor's degree?
What if they just have an associate's? Would that be, of course, I guess I'd be okay with that too. Wouldn't it be better than what we?
I'm fine with that. I don't think anyone with a master's degree is gonna have the perception that they're not
Oh, here, I made copies, I'm sorry. Here's paper.
going to have it on the computer.
Yeah, some of this was directly from some of those other descriptions, and so I left it because we didn't address it in the meeting, so.
Yeah. And so as we go down into that, and they're not numbered, but if you go down to the, it says develops projects to ensure proper drainage, hydrology. I think that's pretty close to the same thing, both of those, because hydrology
Yeah.
definition is water running, so maybe we should use one or the other. I did also go down a little bit further where it says, develops departmental budget goals and it says, originally it says develop departmental budget goals, objectives, and long-range capital improvements. I'm on the wrong one, I'm on the one I made up. Can you read that one to me, Tina, because I don't have the original, I'm sorry. What I have is the ones that I got. Okay. So
There are 2
original-
points here. It says develops departmental goals and objectives in conjunction with commission, and also develops long-range projections of budget and capital improvement requirements.
Right, and so what I did was I took and specified a little bit more, and I thought maybe it would sound a little better to just say, develop departmental budget goals, objectives, and long-range capital improvements to include a 5-year road and bridge maintenance repair plan in conjunction with the Board of County Commission. I mean, this up here, the way we have it, and like you said, there's 2 bullet points there, we can combine that into one, and then,
Okay,
when you
but-
say capital improvements, it's kind of just broad. And I really like the idea of a 5-year road and bridge maintenance plan in place.
Departmental goals and objectives may not always relate to the budget. I mean, I can combine them, but,
Well, I would think they would, because if you have a goal of, because it says long-range capital improvements. Objective and long-range capital improvements.
yeah, so these 2 bullet points, the way they're written, it's developing the goals and objectives, and then developing projections for budgeting. So, like, cost estimates and what's it all gonna cost.
And improvements.
That's, right,
Yeah.
to do, what it's developing the projections, the cost projections of what money is needed to do those.
Yeah, okay, I
So
kind
that's
of,
what I said.
got that, and I was just gonna say, I noticed throughout this thing, we kind of say the same thing over and over about, budget preparation, responsibility for budget, responsibility for, being, well, the word thrifty's not in there, but it says that quite a bit, so I was trying to, put it all in one, like that, because it sounds more complete, I thought. There is one that I took out and did not put in, and I thought the sentence sounded kind of crazy. And where is that at on your original line? Right here. It says prepares specifications and oversees the acquisition of materials, supplies, equipment, and rights of way. And I think rights of way or field work.
Rights of way or easements.
Yes, but see, that's in a sentence where you're talking about acquisition of material, supplies, and equipment. That's a different.
So
that's
you want to
field-
separate land acquisition from other types of acquisition?
Acquisition of materials, it says.
Well,
So I'm
it's-
assuming culverts,
Okay.
stuff like that. I'm not, that doesn't say
Yeah, but
land.
a lot of times when you're preparing for those kind of purchases, the easement's gonna have to be done with it.
If you think it's confusing, we can separate real estate acquisition to a different line, but I was trying, like I said, we're working with 3 to 4 different job descriptions, trying to combine, and so I was trying to include everything.
No, I understand that, and like you said, this is just a draft, so I thought,
Right.
right now, we would just go ahead then and critique it and get it to where, because we are
Sure.
talking to an engineer here,
I'm just
so-
trying to understand what you want.
Okay, and I'm telling you.
Okay, so what do you want?
Well, I just don't think it fits. I may be wrong, just by
right
the
way?
way it says. Well, it says acquisition of material.
Of materials, comma, supplies, comma, equipment, comma, and rights of way. So we can split that to a separate line, that's not a problem if you think it's confusing.
I thought it was confusing, but
Okay.
I don't know, maybe they aren't confused by it.
Just,
I'm okay-
Oversees
I'm okay-
acquisition of
I'm okay
all
with
those
it
things.
Either way.
Okay.
I mean,
Okay.
it just states it exactly, whether it's here, or you look at this line down here, here it is, and whether you put it all in one or do whatever, but it's specifically states it out here separate.
So far what I'm understanding you to say, Diane, is that you want to combine the lines that say develop departmental goals and objectives, and then combine with about developing long-range cost projections for budget and capital improvement, and include information stating specifically a 5-year capital improvement plan.
Yes, a 5-year road and bridge maintenance and repair plan, yes. I spelled that out because, capital improvement, again, although we understand what we're talking about, we haven't had a 5-year road plan or a bridge plan for a long time, so I just want to make sure that is an expectation that somebody that we hire
Okay.
would know that we would want.
And then the next thing I understand you to say is that you would like the other line that I did combine to be split out, to say about the acquisition of real estate, the rights of way, not to be included on the same line with the other.
Well, no, if they're happy with it, I'll concede to that, just leave it.
Okay.
That's not a big
Well, it doesn't
issue.
matter to me.
It
I'm
doesn't
fine
matter.
with doing it
Yeah,
whatever
no,
you guys
no,
want.
if they're happy with it, we'll leave that in, that's not a big deal.
Acquiring right away is a big deal. That's not fun.
The way it was written
Yeah,
is
but I
what
mean,
a big deal
it's just,
to me.
acquiring right away is not fun.
I can put it in a separate line that says oversee the negotiations and acquisition of easements.
That'd be appropriate.
I'll just do that. That way it won't be confusing.
Okay. So then we have one under supervision. We had one under accountability and supervision, and they both said pretty much the same thing. Under accountability, it says the county engineer is responsible for county equipment and oversees the entire road and bridge department. The next paragraph down, it says the county engineer oversees and/or directly supervises the entire road and bridge department. So I just didn't think it was necessary to have both of those in both paragraphs, because it's also in other paragraphs.
Okay, and that's the reason it's that way, and I can change the wording, is that it's talking about accountability, and so their responsibility, and then the level of supervision that they have to provide. So it's two separate categories on the job description, but it fits in both, and so that's why it's listed twice. So
Okay, so, but
if you want that tweaked, I can do that.
okay, so the way I wrote it, and again, just whatever, the way I wrote it was, on the accountability, it just says that the engineer is responsible for budgetary controls of the department, therefore participates in the annual budget development process. The person in this position is expected to maintain a high level of work ethics, which I did change that word too, because here it says a high level of responsibility for their own actions. So I changed that to maintaining a high level of work ethics, keeping commitments, completing tasks on time, maintaining confidential when necessary, and communicating respectfully to the general public, associates, and subordinates. I thought that covered everything in what you have there. And then I took some from the second paragraph, put it first, and then vice versa, is the way I did that. And then when you get into the supervision, the way the supervision was written, it says little or no direct supervision is provided, though job-related decisions are occasionally viewed by the county commission. So I just wrote no day-to-day supervision is provided by the county commissioners, though job-related decisions are occasionally reviewed at the county commission meetings. The county engineer directly and indirectly supervises the entire road and bridge department and is responsible for carrying out all supervisory duties in accordance with the county's policies and procedures. Directly and indirectly, because up here I think it says or, directly or. I don't want to give him an option. I want him to know that he does both directly and through his supervisor that we will next be pursuing. So I just thought that's, so I just read off the young.
Sounds fantastic.
I don't have a problem with changing a few words. I mean, I think the way that I've read it and interpreted it, it's fairly clear what our expectations are gonna be. I do like the addition of a five-year plan.
Mm-hmm. I don't think I really changed anything that was written in it. I just maybe combined a paragraph or two, or.
Are you willing to let me have that?
Oh,
so
yeah,
I can-
absolutely, you may. And in fact, I don't know if you want all my yellow stuff, I have it here in, I took the yellow
Yeah, I
off.
would prefer the yellow.
Oh, you do prefer it? Okay, absolutely. And I hope we have lots of engineering bites. Where are,
So can you bring that back to us next week so we can adopt it and get the advertising
Sure.
out? We don't wanna wait much longer to get the advertising out.
You also are gonna need to think about salary range and where you're advertising, so.
I did have the ones that I had said before, the National Society of Professional Engineers, KAC, and of course we municipalities. But I also think that we need to jump into some of those things like Indeed and that one in Kansas City. Boy, I tell you, all them people in Fort Raleigh, Junction City, that's their go-to. You look at that, they got hundreds of jobs listed, and right offhand, I forgot what, I'll get that for you, but I just think we need to. 'Cause I know
Yeah,
there's
if
a
you
lot
can
of-
send me a list of where you want to
Okay.
put it.
Okay.
And then, I had said that we should send out on the, like the listservs that the engineers have. They have different organizations that they belong to.
Mhm.
And so if there's a potential of putting it on an actual engineering website where they go to look for that kind of stuff, that would be the preferred.
Okay. Yep. I will get my list to you.
Okay, can you just email it to me?
I will.
That'd be great.
And how long do we wanna leave that position open, or?
I think
cut
you
off?
leave it open till filled.
Till
You don't have to necessarily put a deadline, but.
Have 10 people apply, you can go through them. If you don't like the first 10, you can still have the job opening without having to reapply.
You could set a preliminary close date, you know, once you have this ready to go out, and say we're accepting applications through this date. That way, it motivates people to actually to submit it. But it doesn't mean you can't reopen it or.
Okay.
I did have, I haven't done anything on the current road and bridge superintendent position or the supervisor positions because I kind of wanted some guidance from you as far as that goes. So I printed off the current road and bridge superintendent and the road supervisor and the bridge and culvert supervisor. This is what we have right now in Marion County. And as I was working on the engineer job description, it almost looks like, you know, we had talked about keeping this position but tweaking it. Well, it almost looks like, you know, with the engineer position, this level doesn't, to me, it would make more sense potentially to tweak the other two, the second level ones. Because the majority of what's on here is in the engineering job description at this point. So whether you want to then go down to the next two positions and look at those duties, potentially either have two positions there or combine into one for your mid-management position. That's just, I kind of wanted your guidance on, before I really jumped into that, because as I was looking at this, the majority of these duties we put on this engineer job description, so.
I'd like to back up to the county engineer first. I thought one of our goals was to develop teamwork. And I don't see anything on his description or her
That's
description as an engineer that, is there something I'm missing from there?
Okay,
I mean,
refresh my memory on teamwork, what were you talking about?
well,
That was one of Kent's points, and I don't know if I got that specified out, because it wasn't on one of the other job descriptions I was combining, so.
I mean, we can hire somebody and come in and he can be the bull and he can do or she can do what they feel right, but I think everybody in Marion County knows and a lot of that works anywhere, a team works a lot better than a bull.
I put that under skills on the second page,
Okay.
the second paragraph, and if you look towards the middle, management skills, such as the ability to prepare, manage budget, gather, et cetera, et cetera. Down here,
Team
the
building.
ability
Team
to
building.
effectively manage a team of subordinate personnel,
Okay.
and then excellent interpersonal team building and communication skills are needed in this position. But if you want me to put that as an essential function on the front, I can do that too.
Well, I think it's pretty important that person is a team builder, rather than just
Yes.
come in.
Yeah.
So I don't know that it would be appropriate to be a bullet point,
Okay.
it is addressed.
I'm done.
Okay. Do you all foresee two subordinate supervisors under the engineer, or are you looking at trying to combine into one? Because that's going to depend on what I do with trying to develop whatever other job descriptions we have to fit with the structure.
My own personal opinion is if we're gonna have an engineer, a subordinate could handle the other functions.
Okay, so
I would
for
agree.
now, combine them into one.
Yeah,
Okay,
I think that's my thought too.
okay, that's the way I'll work on it for right now. We'll see
Okay.
how that comes together for you,
Okay.
and I'll have a
Very
draft for you.
Okay, very good.
But I figured the engineer one is the one you wanted right away, so. Okay.
Okay, anything else in regard to the engineer position?
Nope.
No, we'll try to get that expedited.
Well, I think you've got this under bridge and culvert too. You're wanting that one person to take that.
Well,
So
you
with
know,
the-
with the functions that the
Yeah.
engineer is going to be able to handle it, my own opinion is that one subordinate can handle that.
Okay, I just.
We can see how it comes together,
Yeah.
and if
Okay.
it doesn't work, then we can.
And we can have like foremans or something.
Yeah,
Well, I think that there was a recommended title on the pay plan too, of that middle level. So she had recommended some title changes in the department.
Okay.
Okay, anything else in regard to engineering job? If not, any public comments at this point? Linda?
Yeah, the only thing I would ask is to maybe question not just a 5-year plan, but an ongoing 5-year plan, because ongoing means we relook at that constantly and are changing that. When you just talk about a 5-year plan, they give it to you and then we don't.
Yeah, you're talking about an ongoing,
Yes.
the 5-year always remains a 5-year.
Yeah,
Okay.
that,
Okay, I'll go along with that. I think that's fine. Yeah, I just got plan in my mind.
Good point, good point.
And then also, when you look at engineer and you're having him do those abilities, and then would it be a possibility of splitting the county so that we have 2 people under him that is looking at the county versus, but, because that's what's always been a problem that we've heard chronically is I can't get to that side of the county and I can't get to this side of the county. And all we do is drive. So as you're thinking that down the road, would that be something that you kind of say, okay, these 2 people are going to be, the engineer is the guy that's going to be doing all of it, but then do we have this guy that's doing this half of the county that's talking to the engineer, so that guy isn't driving clear to that side of the county? I don't know. That's just something that you look at as, and I don't know if they're right underneath him, but as we talked
So
about.
one job description, but 2 people still, just splitting geographic area instead of splitting duties.
So you have 2 subordinates
Yeah, so
Yeah.
we do back to.
with the same job,
But it would
with
still
the
be
same-
one job
Same
description.
job description.
Yes.
Yeah.
Description, just
Yes.
wonder how much,
Good idea.
depends how much you wanna spend,
Yep.
how many supervisor positions you wanna have. It kinda depends, so.
Well, and would we have to call that a supervisory position?
Well, that's the way it is.
Okay.
Yeah, I think
Probably
so.
would.
Thank you.
I think so.
I think it probably would be, but, okay.
Thank you, Lynn. That's what I was talking about when I asked about the bridge and culvert, because I think that we're gonna work on that, I think, when we first find the top and then work down the way it sounds.
Right.
And
But as you're doing that,
Yes, yes, no.
that's just a suggestion.
because that's 3/4 of my calls is, I mean, there was 2 this weekend that I don't think that, where those 2 people live, I don't think that we've had a person probably drive down through there. And there's a lot of those places in our county
There is a lot of miles.
where people don't, our supervisors don't see.
But you know, that's an interesting point too, Randy, that I probably just blew off for a little while, because culverts are something that unless you're really geared to look at them, you drive past them and don't look at them. So to have somebody in a position.
But you still have you would still have a bridge and culvert, like a culvert foreman. That's a lower level.
Okay, so I'm wondering though, if you have the engineer, then 2 supervisors, and then,
Well, 1 or 2, depending.
yeah, I mean, boy, we're building quite a, I don't
It's
know.
the same structure we have right now.
Yeah,
It's not
exactly,
adding
but,
anything.
well, it is, it's adding the engineer.
Title changes.
So
It's
the
title
engineer in
changes.
and of itself would be a lot more money.
We just don't wanna get to the point where who does the buck stop with?
Right.
you know.
Or we
Yeah.
spend all our money on the administration and then we don't have any money on the rocks.
Right.
The road.
Got it?
You have something, Henry?
I've been hearing a lot of comments from counties that operate on a township basis. If we have a county engineer, could he not have a representative in each township that could at least report on the conditions in that township?
Trustee could be delegated to that.
You could do that now to the supervisor. I mean, you don't have to have townships to
I
do
mean,
that
he doesn't
now.
have, they wouldn't have to be an engineer, but I mean, they could
No,
be somebody
they just
that
live in the area.
lives in the area and knows roads.
Possibility.
I think Linda brought that up at some point in her plan that she presented last year. That was one of their suggestions
Right.
on your communication and things like that. Yeah.
Because I know that we had that, we actually had a township meeting and brought in the road and bridge and our county commissioner, and then set up goals of what we would like to have in that township done, so, yeah.
Now, some townships, there's a few townships I don't think even have a trustee that, you know, it's not to say that one trustee couldn't cover a couple of townships if they had to.
I mean, it's difficult for one individual to know everything that's going on in the county.
Right.
And if he has people that can periodically
Right.
say,
It's a good-
this
it's a good
road
idea.
needs this,
Mhm.
this bridge needs this, you know.
And that's kind of an upfront view. People like that see it right away, so they can bring it to their
Yeah.
attention. That's good.
I mean, the sooner you know about a problem, the sooner you fix it, the less it's gonna cost you than if you let it go for 6 months, 6 years or something, you know.
Sure. Absolutely. More questions?
Well, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, and I think, Mr. Becker, part of the township problem, why we don't have trustees, is because we had no voice. I mean, you know, there weren't people in those townships because there was not, I mean, when I got on, I realized I don't do anything, and I thought I would do a lot more. So I think as we work on road and bridge, as we continue to have an engineer that's gonna develop a plan, we're going to have, I envision people stepping up and say, I'll be glad to be on a township board, because now we're
Well,
actually,
Sure.
so I think that's always an open thing that we keep communicating, that helps, so.
Have you ever gotten anything done? Well,
I'm looking forward.
yeah, see,
I'm
that's,
looking
that's it. You
forward.
can
I'm
have
not
one
gonna look back.
more in every township, but if it doesn't get done, what the heck?
Yeah, yeah,
You know, you just talk to a blank wall, it seems to me like.
and that's been a concern,
Okay.
so.
Jim?
I do have a comment too. I mean, your maintainer guys, they're on the roads. They should be able to tell you what the problems are also. And from what I hear from them is they say something and they're just slammed down to, we don't want to hear it. So I think the team building needs to go that far.
Right.
And as far as somebody that's in the area, we can take you to the spots. We know them.
Excellent. Yeah.
Good
More
point.
good points. Yeah.
Anything else? Mr. Hudson?
I'll take it to roads, littering on roads. People throwing trash out on the roads. Have anything you've done about that, I suppose?
About the what?
Littering.
Littering.
Littering?
Littering on
The
the highway.
other day
on
was
the roads.
one, I took on the road past the airport, and I started there at the airport entrance. From there to the highway north and back, I picked up 2 bushel baskets of aluminum cans, which amounted to 110. Then there was tubs that you put cattle feed in, had more glass and plastic bottles that filled out. And they were bottles of, shot bottles of whiskey up to half-gallon whiskey bottles, beer bottles, pop bottles. They had another one full of trash. And the trash was like all the stuff about pizza, or Casey's where you get a piece of pizza and a piece of cardboard underneath of it. There was a lot of those thrown out there. Cigarette packs, one dirty diaper.
I know that KDOT has, you know, their program where they allow, you know, civic organizations to pick up trash, I believe it's at least semi-annually.
One of those
It'd be great if we had a few organizations that would like to step up and do a few county roads like that. That would be great.
Would it do any good with a sign out there, please, please respect our community, don't litter?
Do we have, aren't there statutes and laws about littering?
There is.
I mean, it's
But
a
you
matter of
gotta, you gotta
enforcement.
catch them.
Yeah,
I
you
mean,
gotta-
Yeah.
people's gotta see it, it'll be a witness.
Sure,
Yeah.
got it.
You know, I will comment on that too. In the back roads and stuff, we have couches, refrigerators, washers dumped in the ditch too. So, and 9 times out of 10, it's us that cleans it up.
Yeah, it's a county problem across the state. You drive through counties and see somebody's lazy boy sitting in the ditch, but
Yeah, it's all over.
you know,
Out about that.
in your specific instance in the county lake, I know you've got several organizations out there. Maybe one of the organizations would like to handle that.
Well, I know that several times it has happened to us, and we've actually found a piece of paper that has a name on it, and we turn it in to the sheriff, and they contact them and fine them, so it can happen.
Yeah, if there's some way of identifying, that's what we need to do.
Down the south side of the lake, there must be a Bud Light drinker there, 'cause every day there's a Bud Light can put out on the ditch there.
What kind of parties are out there?
Yeah.
You have a few perpetrators.
But it's the same deal, every day there's a Bud Light can put on the south side of the lake.
My concern is they're sitting next to the road. That means that they're drinking and driving.
Well, the city of Sedgwick ruined the tire on their mower tractor, they hit that glass bottle, breaking the bottle and ruined the tractor tire.
Yeah. Littering is definitely a problem.
But maybe we need to put a trash can at the Lake Shore Drive, at the end of where the airport comes down there, something like that, anything, you know.
I think,
Yeah.
I find that on construction jobs, when the general doesn't put out trash cans, the job site's a mess. So the more you can just encourage somebody to throw it in the right place, the better chance you got.
We used to have, right there, what you're talking about, what used to be the Kingfisher corner, there used to be a trash can right across in that parking lot there.
Well, that's where we need one, I think.
And we used to have one of those dumpsters there, but I don't know if it's been there the last few years or not, but it's.
Is that a county dumpster?
Yeah, county dumpster set right there,
That's the way.
out of the lake, you know, they have them all around the picnic tables and things, they just set one right there. I
Most
think
of the picnic tables have trash cans.
Yes, yes.
Right.
Appreciate all your input. Anything else?
I have something else I'd like to bring up, and that is on the NRCS program. And I think I mentioned something a while back that I learned that they had some monies available to assist counties and farmers and things on road issues. We have some road issues as far as NRCS is concerned, where the way the terraces or so on are designed, or the hills or whatever on these pastures and things, the water is actually running out of the pasture or out of the field area onto our road, and of course washing it away or bringing all that silt out for whatever the case may be. And there is a program out there to really assist the farmer in fixing that, which then ultimately fix our road. And I'm thinking, and I have to confess, I have turned a lot of this over to Linda because, you know, it's very time consuming and it's very detailed, and to be familiar with those programs, she's done an excellent job and has some reports as to what they do fix and so on and so forth. But my question after you listen to what she has to say is the farmers will have to spend, or I should say the property owners, not always the farmer, but the property owner will have to spend some money. The NRCS has a lot of money then to share in that cost. But my question is to the county commission is if there's anything that we can do to help that property owner that's going to take it upon themselves to make this change, because ultimately the county is spending a lot of money fixing this damage. Our culverts are washed out, our ditches are silted, and then the water can't go anywhere, so we have to start at the top, let's start at the beginning. And so if NRCS right now has these monies available, can we then offer a little additional help to the property owner in whatever way to help, not totally, but help fight some of that cost, if anybody has any ideas?
Well, that is, what you're talking about is the RAPS program.
It's the EQIP program. EQIP.
EQIP, but also the RAPS program takes care of, does projects on erosion type issues, which we've actually used before on a bridge a bridge or two.
Down
Well,
south.
but that's a
yeah.
little more specific than
Yeah.
what we're talking
Now,
about.
the RAPS program, at least in prior history, has had a lot higher cost here than equip.
And we're not offering, that's not offered to us right now, under these circumstances. And-
I think-
Go ahead, let Linda explain to you what she's done and what she's
What
seen.
I found out.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, let's,
I contacted Matt Meyerhoff and, on Equip, and then there's also Lisa, that also is with the RAPS program, and Matt said right now, I invited him out and we drove the county roads, just to take a look at what is out there and stuff. And what he said is, as we were driving down these roads, there were a lot of the, especially the ungraveled roads, the dirt roads, he would point out, okay, that road is, that terrace, that needs to be terraced, which is now, that water is running. Given whatever reason, we've had some really dry years, and now we've got, wet. So that land is eroding more, it's pulling out that soil out on it, and so now it's filled up already a full ditch, and so now it's running down our roads. So he identified a lot of different places. He said the EQUIP program has availability for the farmer to go in there but the farmer has to provide part of the assistance. So EQUIP, the state has it, that there's money, quite a bit of money out there that they will assist the farmer to rebuild those terraces or actually build the terrace. And I know personally, as a farm girl who's spent my life, on a farm, that not all farmers are gonna be, wow, let's put a terrace in there, because they're take more time to go work on them, and you gotta keep them up and everything. So, the incentive is maybe not always there to do it. But, but also, we know that it's eroding our roads, and it's causing even more of a problem and stuff, and it is voluntary. Matt said we cannot force them to fix that road and stuff, and he said terraces are now a different kind of puppy than it was years ago when my dad was putting them in. But he said, we went along one place, and he said, okay, there's a waterway, there's a berm, and then there's a waterway. He said, we can incorporate through the EQUIP program on that field, he said, all one waterway, take that dirt that's in that berm, put it back up on our road. So as we're working towards it, they're gonna work with us to help with those roads also. There's lots of culverts that are silted shut, and then on the other side, if they do go over then that guy's field is now on the other guy's waterway and has developed a berm, so now that impedes that water. I mean, he just kind of went through the whole thing with us. I rode with him for 2 hours, just in Liberty and Minnow Township, and we could fix a lot of problems, at least get started of getting that water down the road. He said if Marion County saw that there was so much in here that we need to do, we can write our own program, and we can ask for money from the state just for Marion County. But again, I think Matt felt like at that point we need to look and assess what we have here and that type of thing. So, one of the things that I, as a township trustee, and looking at farm owner and that type of thing is, how could we possibly sweeten this pot, assist the farmer? Agriculture is not the tip of the, at the high income. And so how can we maybe assist that to help them? It would help us in the long run, but actually maybe sweeten that deal for the farmer who would go ahead and do that,
Do you know what the cost share percentage is on equipment?
No.
it's a case by case, depending what's
Yeah.
going on.
So again, that would be where Matt would need to come and visit with you guys.
Yeah, and I think, RAPS would fit in on some of that stuff too.
Absolutely.
Well, I was just at the soil conservation meeting the other night, and we're pretty fortunate here because we have 2 RAPS programs, Marion County and Cottonwood, and they've gone from 10 RAPS programs in the state to 5. We have 2 of them in Marion County.
So now, RAPS though deals with more the water than the ponds and everything,
Yes.
right?
Well,
Yes.
even I've utilized it on the Cottonwood River,
Right,
right
right,
on my farm.
right.
We use it on terraces.
There's a little
Okay.
assistance that you can get
So,
from
yeah, like I
RACs,
said,
but
we
not-
have utilized it on a bridge construction that we did, at least one. So we know that is
Right,
available.
right,
Yeah.
so, yeah.
But what is it available, what is available on that right now? And the reason, when I went to NRCS, they steered me right to equipped, not racks. They said, this is where you're gonna get your
Well, I
greatest
think both
bang for the
depends
buck.
on, depends on what you're doing and
Well, we gotta
what
start
program.
somewhere.
Right.
Okay, so
And we
this
could
is
do
where we're
both.
starting,
We
was
could
at their
incorporate both.
recommendation.
But again, how do we, you know, looking at you guys, how could we help assist the farmer to encourage them to do that? And some won't do it, but, you know, and then some may say, okay, well, I want that deal, but I think it has to be tied into part of that, you know, where the county, yeah, go
Well,
ahead.
you know, when it comes down to dollars, you know, we did have, the governor declare a disaster emergency this past weekend. Sometimes that will trigger some FEMA money,
Right,
and so I'd like to direct our emergency management director to keep his fingers on that. If that does loosen up some money, if we can't get in line to see about some FEMA money. Because if we had a pot of money of that, you know, we could utilize it for something like that, you know. If somebody's got a 75% cost share or something, can the county then have a pot of money to use to supply?
I don't know how that works.
I don't know how
That
it works.
doesn't
Well, I mean,
sound-
if we're doing something to improve a road,
That FEMA money and stuff is just as specific as any grant or anything that you're doing.
Most
Yeah.
FEMA money, you have to have the specific cause and show proof of it and go out and take pictures like the floods with
well, yeah, I
bridges
know
and
that
things
there's a
like
lot of
that.
proof that has to
Yeah,
be, but
before you get that. That's one question, or one with FEMA. The other thing with you and Matt the other day, something that bugs me is when you see the terraces come right to our ditches and no waterways on the side. And I don't know whether it's a farmer just did it his own, but I think
I can
that,
answer that.
okay, can I think,
Go ahead.
let me see if I think right, that also that some of that was designed by the commission, or NCS up there too, to go to the
Yeah.
ditch.
Yes, I have some terraces that dump into the road, and that was designed by NRS in
Yes.
conjunction with the county. Now, at one place, they asked us to put in a culvert before we dump it into the ditch, so that it didn't come all at one shot, that it built up a little bit. And also, we had a waterway years ago that was built with the berm, the road ditch. Now, that worked beautiful. I mean, the water came out along the ditch, then it got to my waterway, it spread out perfectly. You know what I'm talking about here.
yeah, no,
A couple
exactly.
years ago, they come and they wanted to rebuild up the road. They dug a ditch along that waterway, and pretty soon we had a ditch that we lost a tractor in. We were trying to mow and it slid in, and we had problems. Now, Kent did get us dirt there, but I'm gonna have to hire somebody to reshape that waterway because it's cutting the ditch again.
Because the waterway was out in the road?
No, it was not. It was built in conjunction with the road ditch.
Yeah.
So, you know, the waterway was just basically a huge, slow-moving ditch.
Right.
And it worked beautifully.
Right.
And when and those are the things where it's self-inflicted that really get us upset.
Well, yeah, I mean, both ways, it works both ways,
Yeah.
because when you drive and see that waterway's coming to the ditch, and then you see the ditch is cut so deep, you can't do nothing with it, when you think that, like you said, there should have been a stopgap or something
Yeah.
there.
But we had done some rebuild on that road, and then that caused that
That caused that
problem.
ditch, yeah.
Okay.
Well, before that, everything was working good, and to what I felt, I didn't think that road needed to be redone.
Sometimes best leave things alone.
And right now, that road, it is not crowned, it's wallowed, and we got mud holes in the road, so.
But see, now that would be a situation, like Linda said,
Right.
now they would look at that and analyze what
Right.
needed to be done. So the amount of money that would be extended to that versus the next one down the road would be entirely different. And this is something, if I'm not mistaken, Matt is willing to help spend some
Right.
time or
Right.
the time to go through the county or the area, or however we designate that, to pick these more critical areas, prioritize them or whatever, that we need to do. We have
Well,
to work
and
with
he's,
them.
and I'm sorry, I didn't
No, go ahead.
interrupt, but he's saying everybody to look at all of these, you know, and with any farmer that wants to have, you know, that we can kind of get, if they are willing to do that, Matt is willing, that the EQIP is ready to look at those, develop a plan. You know how that all works, Kent, you know, but at the same time, it's going to cost the farmer, you know, it's not just, they're gonna fix it, it's gonna cost, there's a cost share, and if we can, on the county side, if there's a way to maybe look at a bonus or a benefit for that farmer to go and help them get it fixed.
Now talk about your pot of money. If I'm not mistaken, once the NRCS identifies a problem on the farm fields or whatever, and you mentioned a little bit about building your own program, that's where the pot of money comes in. Like what that county, the one that I gave you, that county, they actually got a pot of money then that we could use at different areas,
Right.
Stuff like that. But it's all in a process.
Right, and that's what Matt said too. He said if we look at it as a county, that we have this huge problem, we can actually write for our own money. But again, it's gotta have people, it's gotta have corporations that are gonna pitch in.
Be a pretty detailed.
Right, but it has been done.
Yes.
And Matt said it's not just over the top, that you can't get it done. But he said right now, EQIP has a lot of money that the state will provide to assist this. And I feel like it's kind of like when I was a teacher, and we looked at, and I gave this analogy to someone else, and the little kid can't write very well. Well, it's because his bigger muscles, it goes from the inner to the fine motor. So we gotta fix the fields in order to fix the roads in some of this. You know, we've gotta go from the inner to the outer, and right now the roads are in terrible condition, and so where maybe 15 years ago, that field eroded and washed down, but we had a ditch. Well, now we don't have any ditches, so now they're going down the road, you know, so.
Where would you foresee the county stopping and doing something with though? I mean, because apparently, whether you agree that it was needed to be rebuilt or not to be rebuilt, so they come in and do it and make a ditch, and now you say you've got a ditch that's getting eaten away or something to that. Where would you foresee the county stopping at and doing something? I mean,
Well, I think.
just the fun part of it, or are you talking about actual physical maintenance from road and bridge?
Well, I'm thinking funding. There be some way to help fund that kind of thing, because, you know, you're gonna have to have the EQIP, you're gonna have to have Matt, you're gonna have to have Lisa. They're going to have to coordinate with the county engineer, and work together. It's called that team, you know. They're gonna help for this, if the state's gonna help build, you know, fund the money, the farmer's gonna have to bill, you know, then it's called working together down that stretch of road.
And as they're fixing the farmer's field, then it's to the county then to actually go ahead and correct that ditch and put in that culvert, so that when that's done, then the water then flows and doesn't continue with that erosion. We now solve the problem from the field portion and our road.
Yeah. And we
Is how
start
that
working
works.
as a whole group,
Yes.
you know. But I see it as a benefit to the county down the road if there was an incentive, because there's gonna be less problems on that road once we get it fixed. Because there won't be water running down it. Because right now, we're fixing roads. We're fixing some of these roads, but it's still running off, so
So we're not fixing them.
6 months later, we have a quagmire that we had right before, you know, so.
What was the amount of money, do you remember, I'm trying to think, what was the amount of money that one county got for the pot? Was it a million, or was it?
Amount.
I think it was a lot.
Yeah.
It was a lot of money. Then that would be.
I just think this ought to be something we ought to investigate, and I'd be willing to help, you know, I have some other people that would help to bring some of this back to the county commissioners if you guys are too busy, but, I just think, you know, Mr. Matt Meyerhoff said he would be very willing to come and.
Well, I just wondered, can NRCS kind of facilitate that along with the county?
Good.
they can advise us and
Because,
help us, but.
You know, they're gonna know a lot more about the application process than we are.
But no, they won't write the program for us.
Well, I'm not saying that, but.
And
So-
Matt made it very clear, and you've been involved a lot in the soil conservation district and stuff, and it is all, they have to be willing to come forward. Matt can't go visit.
No, I know that.
That,
It's a matter of how do we how do we encourage people enough to take those steps to,
I think that was your
save
question.
our soil, I guess you'd
Right.
say.
Wasn't that your original question? How do we do to get people to stand up
Yes.
against?
Yeah, and in
Yeah.
in the end, it comes down to money.
Right, and if that can be an incentive, what could the county help provide to assist that, because, but also, he's very good at explaining how this can improve their land too, so, I mean, it's an improvement for them, but,
It's a lot, it's gonna
I
take
know
us
we
some
have,
thought.
we have more and more absentee ownership in land. We just do, that's just the way it's gone, and really, if we can encourage tenants, to encourage their landowners that, this land could be much more productive, we could, whatever encouragement we can give, because some of these absentee landowners may not even look at their ground once a year or even come out.
Right.
They get in trusts, they get in all these things, and people all over the country own land in this county. And they probably don't even have an idea that their waterway now has a 5-foot ditch in the bottom of it.
right.
And
Well-
so, there's gonna have to be some responsibility, because we've got a lot of tenants.
Actually, I think I'd like to make some phone calls and stuff and call around to some of the counties, like the one that did implement that plan, and just see if their county gave any assistance or how they did it, and there's other ones too, and just see because I don't have a suggestion right now, so just see what they done and how they implement it from the start. So maybe I'll try to get that squads in sometime this week and make some of those phone calls and just see what some options may be
Yeah,
for us.
because, if we did have a pot of money, and if we did it, there would have to be a lot of equality to it.
Right.
We couldn't say on a case-by-case business, we're gonna give you 5%, we're gonna give you
Right.
3%.
Right.
That
I would
just
think
doesn't
it
work.
would have to go across the board.
Right.
But I also think, it has to be tied into the EQUIP program or the RAPS
Right.
program, so it's working as cohesive, but, yeah, I think that's the start. Matt also talked to me about his dad is one of the trustees out in western Kansas. Roads and bridges, he knows all about it, so he's grown up with that kind of thing and is very willing to help us in whatever way we can. But just like, for instance, we drove down one road and one of the owners decided to put a driveway without a culvert, because that was the easiest way to do it. Our road and bridge person should have been contacting us saying, that can't happen, and we're gonna take it back out. But again, and then we've got people that are, farming the ditches, and that's been a consistent, and he told me emphatically that there are ways to stop that.
There are.
It's just that you guys have to take the responsibility of getting it done.
And we had discussed that too. I think we're kind of pondering on it, because there's laws and statutes and fines already in place.
Right, so,
We have to
again,
correspond to them that what they're doing is wrong, first of all.
I think they know it's wrong.
yeah.
Right? They're not
There
children.
just haven't been any enforcement.
Yeah, so we might have to advise them of enforcement.
So I think this is an excellent path to go down, I guess. I would recommend that we try to do that.
Okay.
So I have another subject, if we're done with that one. Tina, did you receive the final documentation yet from MCC? The last
I
bank
have an email
statement?
I have an email from Clint. He was out of town, but he said that he will get it to me by the, I don't remember exactly what it said. I think I put it in your mail folder, actually.
Oh, really? Okay.
But anyway, I did request it, like I said, a couple weeks
Yes,
ago. And
yes.
And I did hear back from him, so.
And I had talked to him too myself, I can't remember what that was, and he said, well, Hannah Bergen has all that, so.
No, I contacted her also, but he
Okay.
did respond to me and said,
Okay, so,
that's not in here.
I just want to make
Most of
sure
it was
because
less.
there's still a lot of unanswered questions on that.
But he did say he would be, that we should be getting it soon, so.
Okay.
And so I have one last question, it's a simple one. I've had some phone calls from the fire departments about the solid waste charge that we charge, each business. So on the fire departments, this particular one is Ramona. They have, I think, 2 buildings. They have their fire department, I think, right next to us on how they bought a building. Also, and so they're getting that charge twice. And so the question is that, is it just every building, or is it under an umbrella of the, I'm sorry, you were gonna say something?
I think they can apply now that since they own both of them, that they can apply and talk to the application period there's to file for it.
There is a protest that they could file, and it's by property generally.
Okay.
So I don't know the specific
Okay, I'll find
information
that
of
out.
that,
I'll
but
find that out.
what they should do
Okay.
is just file an appeal, and then we can research it in our office.
I think if they turn it in.
So they need to
they
contact
use
us for an
both
appeal
buildings,
form.
why, they
Sure.
own both, I don't.
Yeah, because he said they're paying all this money for trash, and if they don't even have any, but
Yeah, it's
You
not
leave out.
based on, it's not
Right.
for disposal of trash, but it's,
right, okay, so thank you, you answered my question. I think that's all I have.
Okay. John?
Yeah, I wasn't here last week, I was sick, but I did watch the video. That deduction that was brought to your attention on the transfer station, on the air conditioners. My personal opinion, that deduction is way too light. I wouldn't even entertain it. I would keep what you have unless they come at me with a lot more dollars. Because it seems like, from my experience and what we've done, each one of those head-end units behind the condensing unit is about $2,500, and you're talking about deleting 2 of them, so my mind would automatically go to $5 grand, and you're only talking about 28. I just don't think it was fair, it didn't look right, and I've got no interest in the deal. Funk's doing the electrical, so I just wanted to put my honest opinion out there. That's all.
Okay, I picked
Did
it
you
up
get that
somewhere.
out, Randy? You have that?
Well, I went and, after last week, I went looking for this, and I don't know. I'm not the really smartest person in this world by any means or anything, but here's your floor plan. This is this building. Here's the probably the storage area, and here's the toilet, and here's your office area. I mean, one little simple unit should take care of, and I don't know what kind of headspace when you look at the general diagram here, it looks like that there's going to be headspace up here for where a unit, simple little heater unit, AC unit could be, and maybe the stuff could be run over the top and down in there. I don't know. I didn't see the plans, but I'm just saying that it's not a major decision, and they're making it to be such a major.
Seemed like it was pretty major
Yes,
last week.
yeah.
Well, my mind just went to, there's not enough dollars of it back to the county.
Okay,
For
right.
taking that deduct.
Yeah, but
Because I think that whole system should run around, somewhere around $10,000 range.
Probably.
We're talking about deleting about half the work.
Yeah, and it's just, I don't understand, maybe I need to bring this to their attention next week, or we can get them here again, because I want some plain, simple diagrams of showing me how a furnace is gonna be here, or air conditioner, and then I don't see why you can't have air conditioning ducts in both of them. That's a simple plan right there.
Yeah, the plans that I saw showed a condensing unit here.
Okay.
They had a head-end unit, which would be like your motel P-TAC without the outside part.
Thank
Just
you.
the inside.
Thanks.
Here, here, and here.
All of them outside, I mean, in one unit, at each corners?
Well, yeah, they're all, but they're like air conditioning.
Yes, yeah, they're combined units.
But the condensing unit is set outside.
Oh, the whole, okay, I see what you're saying.
So it's a ductless system.
Yeah, okay, yes. It is a ductless system, yes. That's something new that I.
It's the mini splits. You see them on, we talk about efficiency, the Toshibas.
Yes.
That's really what happened.
They're coming into more houses too today.
Yeah, and they're very economical, as far as what I hear. I don't have one in my house, so I can't vouch for it personally.
I saw a two-story house where they couldn't run all the ductwork, and then they run these mini split units to where the lines go up from the condensing unit to the outside.
And that's way cheaper than adding a whole other
Yes.
central system.
We're gonna have to see what this contamination's gonna cost
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
before we even get there, so.
But I just,
Thank
what it's
you.
worth, I felt like
Sure. No,
the
appreciate
deduct was way
it.
too
You're an
much.
expert at that.
Because I went looking for that, 'cause I want to see the floor plan, why we couldn't do something. Anyway, yeah.
Okay, if there's nothing else?
You want an executive session, right?
Yes.
Oh, that's right.
I just need a short one, 2 to 5 minutes for FMLA approval, and then